What's going on, guys? HDHJD here, and as you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about MHA teachers and ranking them weakest to strongest. All that you have to do to qualify for this is just that you had a teaching license for any length of time, from 1 day to several years. Without further ado, let's get started. At number 15, we got Recovery Girl, aka Chio Shuzenji, the school nurse. And plain and simple, she has no combat feats whatsoever. She's old, we had nothing on her backstory, and she is a support hero rather than a person on the front lines. Plus, we have it's kind of just piggybacks off of the backstory thing. We had nothing to indicate what she did in her prime. So unfortunately, as much as she was a wonderful old lady, she did a lot for the characters that were injured, like in the sports festival, and even All Might himself. She's at last place at number 15. At number 14, we got Lunch Rush, the chef of UA. Another almost featless character if it wasn't for the data books, which gives him an E in power, a D in speed, C in IQ, and B in technique. So he basically has no combat experience, no combat applicable skills, with average intelligence and a decent use of his quirk. Not too great if I do say so myself, but he is at least younger. So I think he could kick the shit out of an old lady if need be. At number 13, we have the principal himself, Nezu. He's got both a D in power and speed, but he makes up for it with an S in IQ and wits, along with an A in his technique, with his high specs quirk. He has a scar across his eye, so I can give him an endurance feat, but that's the best I can give him. He's not getting much in terms of feats in combat. Despite him being obviously the boss of the entirety of the school, we can't give him anything in combat. Alright, we're getting into some capable fighters. At number 12, we got Hound Dog, aka Ryu Inui, the head of student discipline. He's got an A+ in power, an A in speed, B in wits, and D- in technique in the data book. He has an actual strength feat by throwing Deku a decent distance in volume 20, who weighs around 140 pounds or 63 kilograms. He's another teacher who is seen once or twice and never heard from again, and that goes for the next two. Next up at number 11, we got 13, who is another featless character. It's bullied by Kurogiri, and that's really about it. In the data book, she has an A in power and in pulling force, but she's got a D in speed, a B in IQ, a B in wits, and a B in technique. Although Black Hole is an extremely powerful quirk, its user is not very powerful. So unfortunately, I can't give her much credit because she doesn't have much. Again, she gets bullied by Kurogiri, and she's pretty much taken out of commission from there. The best I can give her is that she got her quirk. Again, it's just her quirk. Hell, Uraraka and Aoyama could withstand it for a time. Next up at number 10, we got Power Loader, aka Hikari Maijima, the support course development teacher. Now he's got an A in power, a B- in speed, B in intelligence, D in wits, and D in technique. So he can create massive craters in the ground the size of 4 excavators with his iron claws. This was during when they were sparring with the class 1A students, so it's unclear whether he did that in one shot or he did that over the course of how many time that you want. So it's very unclear. That's why I can't give him as much credit as I want to, but the fact that he managed to make that big of a crater in the ground is still amazing. He's like 13 in the sense that he is strong, but lacks feats or lacks in certain areas. Like, for example, Power Loader, he's not smart in a fight, and he doesn't use his quirk very well, at least according to the data book. He's a poor user. Whereas Anne, she was slow and didn't really make up for it anywhere else. So, these last few guys, they were definitely not disappointing, but we can definitely see why they were specialists, Like, for example, Anne and Power Loader hound dog. They were relegated to certain roles in the school. These next guys, however, we got some more powerful people coming up. Next is Present Mike, the English teacher of UA. The DJ Super Sound could knock out a weakened mutant spinner, and before that he knocked out a bunch of his goons. He destroyed Shigaraki's vat, and the entire room, it was destroyed with his sound. He stunned the woman Nomu that was in the same exact area. He got a C in speed in the data books, but nothing really on the screen that I could use. Besides power, his main strength is actually his intelligence. Not only is he an English teacher, so it can be assumed that he is fluent in both English and Japanese, making him bilingual, but he also did that there was a traitor amongst the students. His attacks obviously travel at the speed of sound, and his arsenal of sound is loud voice, DJ punch, and loud out shout. And due to his DJ punch, it's implied he is a decent hand-to-hand fighter. At number 8, we got Vlad King, the Class 1B teacher. He's got a B in power and speed, a C in intelligence and wit, and an A in technique. It's not bad in the data books, but unfortunately not much in terms of actual feats. His quirk is blood control, but we don't see him use it too often. For strength, he slammed a Dobby clone into the wall so hard it crushed the wall behind it. And he called the Dobby clone slow and could react to it. That's really all we got. Nothing too crazy on him. He's relatively featless, but he has good data book stats. Next up at number 7, we got Snipe, the 3rd year student teacher. He's got a C in power and speed, and a B in IQ and wits, with an S in technique in the data books. He's an immensely skilled marksman, being regarded as the second best behind only Lady Nagant, and has more experience than most heroes in training. He could react fast enough to shoot Shigaraki's hand before it touched Deku in Book 3. His quirk is homing, an ability that allows him to locate any target within 600 meters, and with any projectile will follow the target. And he's the first teacher to actually have weapons, having guns and smoke grenades. So again, what got him this far was his intelligence, his quirk, and his weaponry. That's what it's called. So he's honestly the definition of average in the UA facility. He's directly in the middle of this list, so he obviously is going to be the average person for this. So if you ever want someone to compare someone to, whether they're better or worse, compare them to Snipe. Next up is Ectoplasm at number 6, the math teacher of UA. So right off the bat, he has to be pretty smart to be able to teach others about mathematics. He was smart enough to deduce Tokoyami's close combat weakness. He's got an B in power, a C in speed, and in IQ, and in wits. He's also got an A in technique. That's all according to the data book. He's strong enough to defeat Tokoyami and Sue while he's restrained. He's faster than Dark Shadow while restrained, and reacted and kept up with both of them while he was restrained. I will preface this isn't like Final War, extremely strong Tokoyami and Sue. This is like they're trying to train to be better. This is when all the pro heroes faced 2 Class 1A students and restrained themselves. This is pretty early on in the series. He can make clones that can make things worse for the opponent he's fighting. And he has an attack called Giant Bite Detonation, where he creates a glob of ectoplasm, then turns it into a giant clone of himself, and then traps the enemy in its mouth after overwhelming the opponent. Not bad, but the top 5 is why UA rarely gets attacked. UA High was considered a safe haven when everything went to shit. Let's find out why these top 5 heroes made it so safe. Alright. At number 5, we got the rated R hero, Midnight, aka Namari Kayama. The Mari hero art history teacher has a databook entry of D in power, C in speed, IQ, and wits, and an A in technique. So she is also around that okay category, but it's her feats that give her what she has going for her. Her quirk is said to be, again, This is stated by Namari. If it's close enough and enough of it is applied, it can knock out Gigantomachia, the rampaging monster that can level entire cities in a couple seconds. Survives being crushed by concrete and rebar. Can react to Cero and Mineta. Her whip loops break the sound barrier, and her fans make her sleep gas spread out even more, and her whip is her main choice of offense. Now, she is not a fighting or a main or a frontline pro. She is a support pro. She mainly goes in there to help out, not to be the main guy. She would help out someone like Cementos or All Might or Gunhead, someone who is proficient in combat, not someone who is a support character. Next up at number 4, we got Cementos, aka Ken Ishiyama, a modern literature teacher. He's got a B+ in power and an A in speed, IQ, wits, and technique. So he's got one of the better entries in the data books. He's strong enough to weaken the impact of Deku and Shoto's final clash, tore open the PL villain's base, able to match Genten in power, and overwhelm Sato and Kirishima. He can create cement structures that can block Genten's attacks and withstand it. He can also react to characters like Sato, Kirishima, Volume 5 Deku and Todoroki, and Genten. He's probably the second most destructive teacher, but obviously he's not the most powerful, which kind of just puts into perspective that power isn't everything. Alright, at number 3, we got Gran Torino, a former homeroom teacher like Aizawa and Vlad. He's got a D in power, but he makes up for it with having an S in speed, a B in IQ, and an A in technique and wits. He's strong enough to pin down Volume 6 Deku, so early Deku, crush concrete, beat characters like Korigiri, Spinner, Majane, and Twice, and he caught All Might after he was launched by AFO's air cannon. AFO stands for All for One, by the way. He's so fast that he can blitz characters like Twice, Majane, and Twice, and even save Deku and Bakugo from Shigaraki. Despite his age, he actually managed to survive getting caught in All for One's air cannon blast while saving a civilian, and can endure his leg being crushed and Shigaraki punching a hole through his chest. However, he was hospitalized after that punch. He was pretty much out of the war at that point. He didn't really come back after that. We've seen him react to characters like Korigiri and Hosu Nomu, and his jet quirk helps him with saving people like Deku and Bakugo. Gran Torino, he doesn't really have anything super great, but he also doesn't have anything really bad. He is definitely worthy asset in a fight, but he's not gonna steal the show. As you guys have probably seen, he's kind of a support in a fight. He's never gonna be the main guy. He can fight on his own, so he's not completely a support character in a fight, but he's definitely a support He's definitely a support fighter when he's fighting alongside people like Endeavor or All Might, people like that. So overall, not a bad character at all, but he's in the top 3 for a reason, in my opinion. Next up is the runner-up, Aizawa, aka Eraserhead, the Class 1A homeroom teacher. He's got a C in power and a B in the IQ, an S+ in technique, a B+ in speed, and an A+ in wits. So not too shabby. He's got A+ and S+ on the board. He's strong enough to fling around people with his capture weapon, hurt Knuckle Duster, and can crush metal pipes. He blitzed Volume 8 Todoroki while he was weakened, and Knuckle Duster said he couldn't even land a hit on it. He could withstand hits from villains that can level buildings. His endurance is really good. He got his arm broken and his face slammed into the ground by the USJ Nomu. However, he was hospitalized right after, because, that pretty much did it in for him. And God only knows how long that Nomu was smashing his face in for, or bending his arm like that. On top of the fact that Nomu was sitting on him, so I can imagine his chest wasn't doing too great either. He also got stabbed in the back by Toga and can cut his own leg off to avoid losing his quirk. He can react to characters like Volume 2 Shigaraki, Volume 8 Todoroki and Momo, twice his Dobby clone and high-end Nomus. His Razor quirk does most of the heavy lifting, unfortunately, with this character, because he's not really physically gifted, other than being pretty agile, but majority of how good he is relies on that Eraser quirk. Because if you guys haven't noticed, Eraser Head, aka Aizawa, has a bit of a theme going with him not being able to use his quirk. Then he's pretty much screwed. If you are more physically dominant than Aizawa and he can't erase, and like, you know, you don't heavily rely on your quirk, Aizawa's pretty much gonna high diff or lose. He's not really physically gifted, but thankfully his quirk does make up for his lack of physicality. But I think we all know who the #1 teacher, or at least the most powerful teacher, is in UA. Now, I think we can all agree that this was pretty obvious, and this is the only part of the video where it's unscripted, so I'm just purely going based off of passion. All Might, aka Toshinori Yagi, is the most powerful UA teacher possibly of all time. This man said that USJ Nomu, if it were to fight All Might in his prime, 5 mighty blows would have been enough to take him out. 5. And this guy, this same Nomu, was crushing Aizawa, the runner-up. Embarrassing Aizawa. Pretty much treating him like a joke. A toy that he could play with. All Might was going blow for blow and eventually beat this same USJ Nomu. This same Nomu that was dogging on Aizawa. All Might handled. And sent him into the fucking stratosphere. Like, All Might is more powerful than a lot of people give him credit for. I personally think All Might is honestly underrated. I don't see a lot of people fucking hyping this guy up. People are too focused on people like Deku, All For One, Shigaraki, hell, even Endeavor and Bakugo. But I don't see no one hyping up my boy All Might. Even though he's in a weakened state, this guy beat a thing that was genetically modified and engineered to beat him. That USJ Nomu was genetically modified and created to kill All Might, and it still was not enough because of how strong All Might is. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like if you want to see more videos like this. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Comment what you guys want to see next. Subscribe to my channel, obviously, but also subscribe to Underdog Productions, which is a amateur film crew of me and a couple of my friends, and Underdog Adventures, which is basically just me and the boys gaming and fucking around. But we also do ranking videos, explanations, and personal takes, as well as a small little podcast called Dog Talks. I think we have like 1 or 2 episodes on there, but we're not really focused on the podcast. We're more focused on gaming and filming and putting out videos like the analytical videos that we put out. But the podcast is fun that we can do from time to time. But yeah. Also, guys, I want to thank you for 1,000 views on my most recent YouTube video. That is the most successful YouTube video I have currently, and it was the Chainsaw Hybrids ranked weakest to strongest. I truly do, guys. I truly want you guys to know how much I appreciate that, and I actually gained a couple subscribers from that video. So again, I really do appreciate the support. I hope this video does well. Obviously, I hope this video does just as well. I can keep growing as a YouTuber. I have TikTok, but I mainly like to post on YouTube. I actually like posting on YouTube more than I like to on TikTok, because I don't know, I feel like I have more passion on YouTube than I do on TikTok. But anyway, thanks for all the support you guys have given me, even though, you know, I'm small, extremely, like, grain of sand small. I truly do appreciate it every little bit of the way. See you guys.